Hey legends, what's up? It's Darkmech here, and we're going to go through the MDT for Algeth'ar Academy right now, and then we're going to go through the commentary of the video, give you the breakdown, talk about all the mobs. So looking at this Academy route here, this is where you start. We're going to flick over, get our buffs in here, and move up into this first section. Opening pull here, the 3 skitterflies, where they're going to pull all 3 lasher packs here, skipping these skitters up the top, where they're going to do the tree boss first, pulling it back to here so we don't get these padding skitterflies. Once that boss is down, going to move off to Veximus. So instead of going to crawl, we're going to Veximus. Come down here. If you're comfortable, double pull this. If you're not comfortable, don't have CDs because there's a bit of damage, especially on fort. Single pull, that's fine. Coming across, we're going to grab all of these mobs here in one pull. We're then going to go up onto Veximus's platform, double pull left and right here. Don't try and pull the top into one of these packs. Double pull left and right here if again comfortable. Otherwise, 3 single pulls is absolutely fine. We're going to do Veximus. Then coming down here, we're going to do this single pull on the bridge. Come over here, we're going to pull all these little foragers with the Ravager here, the Battle Axe, and the Scepter. We're going to skip these 2 packs up the top here though. Once this is down, hug the edge here and you can jump up onto the bridge here. And you're going to go across here and we're going to fight the Guardian Sentry. Taking the jet bridge across, we're going to do these 3 packs of Flockbirds and then we're going to do Croth. We're then going to come all the way back across and back into this tree area here. Remember these 3 padding skitters that you skip, so don't pull them. Get over here, watch to see where they are, and run through when it's clear. Coming up the stairs here, we're then going to pull these 2 Echo Knights here, and then we're going to pull these 2 at the bottom of the stairs, and we're going to pull these 3 at the top, fight them at the base of the stairs here. Once they're dead, watch where this pad is. If the pad's over this side, run up, grab these mobs in at the front of the door here, take them into the boss room. We're going to kill them, and then we're going to finish off on the last boss, Echo. So let's get into the run. Okay, so we're in this funky school of weird shit. We jump over the wind bridge, and we're greeted by 5 different dragons. Now, the bronze one, if you talk to it, will give you haste. Blue will give you mastery. Green will give you extra healing taken. Red will give you versatility, and black will give you critical strike. Now, route-wise, we're going tree, Veximus, Croth, and then the Echo Dragon boss. So running up here, we're going to pull these 3 aggravated skitterflies straight off the bat. Don't underestimate these mobs. They have an ability to one-shot a person when they enrage. They cast agitation. It's a stackable enrage that increases their damage. Soothe these at high stacks and be CCing them whenever possible. They'll do a darting sting where they will charge at a random non-tank player. This deals massive damage, amplified obviously if they've got multiple stacks of the enraged on them. Use defensives if you get targeted, things like binding shots. Stuns are really valuable on this. You can grip them. Vortex doesn't work though. Once they're down, we're going to wait for the padding 3 skitterflies that are in this area as well to go away, and then we're going to pull all 3 lasher packs together. Now, if you don't want to do this because you're not comfortable, that's fine. You could elect to get the skitters in the middle and take them out and then do the lasher packs at your leisure. If you wanted to do one of the lasher packs with the 3 opening skitters you did, you could do that and then double pull the other lasher packs. Whatever you're comfortable with is the most important thing. So we are pulling all 3 packs here, setting the phases to blast. And the hungry lashers here, they have a lasher toxin that will stack poison. This can be dispelled with a poison remove and needs to happen if you've got the ability to. Just saves a lot of extra damage going out. The Vile Lashers, they'll cast Detonation Seeds. Lots of bad green swirlies going out here, which you can see. These will absolutely one-shot non-tank players if they get hit. If you take multiple overlaps as a tank, you will die as well. You'll get disorientated for 6 seconds. Your healer won't be able to keep you up through it, and you will just die. The big answer here is to just not get hit. However, there is some funky stuff that goes on with explosion timing and locations and things like that. Sometimes it can't be helped, but as the tank, just try and keep them in clear spots for people and just keep moving yourself so you don't get hit. 2 actually spawn really instantly here, and you can see Cream, who's got 3 more IO than Teagues, got Instaclap, and Rainbow's actually the best druid or resto druid in Oceania. So, you know, she would never make a mistake like that either. So sometimes game mistakes do happen, but we're going to get these down and then we're going to go onto the tree. So that's those mobs. Let's get onto the Ancient Overgrowth. Okay, so we've cleaned up those. We're waiting on these padding skitterflies to move through the boss, and then we're going to bring the Ancient Overgrowth back to where we are here, or the Overgrown Ancient. I'm changing his name. I don't even care. Now, this boss has been substantially nerfed, which is a really welcome change because it was pretty scary to begin with. Your group wants to stack on the tank and all move as one. The regular pattern here is to stack, and when Germinate gets cast, you all just hug the boss and move left. So you can see here, brown swirlies coming up. We're just moving left. They're all exploding, and then we're bringing the boss back into the middle, and then we're just setting up for a ham sandwich. Now, these little adds that spawn out of the brown swirls, they do not become active until Burst Forth gets cast. The boss will cast Branch Out, which spawns a large add. This needs to be picked up, dragged under the boss straight away, and focused down. It'll cast Healing Touch every 10 seconds until it dies. Once it dies, it'll put this big green circle on the ground, and standing inside that removes your debuff Splinter Bark, which is crucial to be doing. The boss, if it stays inside the green circle, will cop a 2% heal. It is not the end of the world. You can try and drag the boss out or displace the add out before it dies, and then position yourself in it and have the boss out. But worst case scenario, boss gets a 2% heal, not the end of the world. The big thing is removing your debuff. When Burst Forth occurs, which is around every 45 seconds, it'll cause everyone to take a massive hit of damage. As the healer, try and make sure people are topped up. Players, also use your brain and don't hate your healer. Use a personal. Any of the brown swirl spawned plant adds that you didn't kill will now activate and start slapping Lasher Toxin on the tank when they've got aggro. So Poison Dispels, again going off. Bark Breaker is the tank buster mechanic, and it leaves you with a physical damage taken debuff. This happens around every 20 seconds. Be rolling defensives. Be liberal with your cooldowns. Have a plan, as you are going to get slap hold. Use your CCs, use your stuns to try and control those lashes and control how many stacks are going out of Lasher Toxin onto the tank. As I said, be mashing your Poison Dispel, and that is pretty much it. But one thing I can't stress enough is be liberal with your cooldowns, okay? This boss has the real ability to chunk you really, really hard. Especially, you can see I've got 14 stacks of Lasher Toxin on me. There is a hell of a lot of damage going out. So once the tree is down, we are off to Veximus's area. Now, there are 5 different types of Veximus enemies in the Veximus sort of space, and you just encounter them over and over and over. Now, I'm about to get deleted here. So there's 2 Mana Fiends and a Battle Axe here, 2 Surges, 1 Surge. No, it's the Severing Smash that kills me. I actually reckon I had a lag spike there. I reckon you saw it. My frame's locked up. Something happened. I don't know. Something bad happened. Anyway, in that opening pack there, we get a taste of some of these mobs. So the 5 mobs you'll encounter up here: Corrupted Mana Fiends, Spellbound Scepters, Spellbound Battle Axes, Unruly Textbook, and Mana Worms. So you can see here we got 2 Mana Fiends and we got a Battle Axe in this one. Now, the Spellbound Battle Axe, these cast Severing Slash on your tank, and as you can see, it's fairly chunky. So a massive, large, upfront physical damage hit. Just be aware of these. The Mana Fiends, they'll cast Mana Void. This puts a dot on a player that explodes and drains mana from anyone that gets hit. Either kick or spread out if you've got that. Lastly, they'll cast Surge. It's a single target nuke ability. Just kick what you can around those. So normally, I think your aim realistically would be to double pull this bridge. You saw kind of what happened with a single one there, but I think ideally you would like to pull that pack and this pack together. Now, the new mob that we're seeing in this one is the Spellbound Scepter. These do a Mystic Blast. You need to kick these. They do a massive AoE with that Mystic Blast, and it can absolutely wreck your group. The Scepter will also do an Arcane Rain. It spawns multiple swirls to dodge. You can displace this to stop it. So incaps, leg sweeps, paralysis, single grip, storm bolts, intimidating shouts. Whatever you've got, just make sure that you stop it. So once we're through these, we are going to head into the next area. So here comes the Arcane Rain here, and you can just see it gripped it off there. No worries at all. Now, moving up into this next area, we get your first taste of the Mana Worms. There are some little Mana Worms called Foragers. They don't do a lot. They do a charge. Not really going to give you any trouble. The one that is going to give you trouble is the big dog padding in the middle, which is the Arcane Ravager. This does a sequence of 2 abilities. They'll charge to someone and they'll do a AoE damage ability around them via Vicious Ambush. Then they'll spin and they'll cast a Rift Breath. Massive frontal cone ability. Just don't go standing in it. That's about it. We're going to kill everything on this platform here, okay? So MDT guide, we went over it pretty quickly before the video, but we want to kill everything on this platform. So you can see there's still 2 more foragers to pick up. So really need to get them in. Ideally, if you're going to do a group pull, get the mobs in ASAP, especially while people have CDs going. I know it can be a bit scary sometimes, but these foragers aren't really going to do that much. A lot of people will dedicate their cooldown sort of, towards the front of that pool, especially if it's a large one. Get the mobs in, get them down, allow them to be caught up in the stuns and things like that. Now, once these are down, we're going to head up onto Veximus's platform. So I'm just going to fast forward this a little bit up onto Veximus's platform. Now, you got 2 options here. I just want to pause it really quickly. You can double pull this if you've got CDs and you could live. If I had a bomb limb, I would have double pulled this. I don't though. So I'm just going to single pull each one of these 3. Whatever you're comfortable with is always the most important thing. Now, a new mob up on these platforms is the Unruly Textbook. They do a monotonous lecture. It's a single targeted channeled sleep ability. It can be dispelled by a magic dispel. So healers, Warlock, Imp, Priest, Shaman's Tremor Totem removes it as well. But just make sure you kick it otherwise. And the rest of the mobs that we've already covered, like the Battle Axe and the Mana Fiends and things like that. So that's what make up these 3 packs up here. So we're going to get through them and then we're on to Veximus. So I just want to skip forward onto the boss to try and keep this chugging along. Okay, so we've killed our 3 packs and Veximus has spawned. Now, this is a bit of a sleeper encounter for my money. I think you can feel pretty safe here, and then you get to like the 3rd Arcane Fissure explosion and you absolutely die and go, what the hell just happened? Now, Veximus will spawn Arcane Orbs that need to be soaked. 5 Arcane Orbs will spawn and they will drift towards the boss. You don't want these to reach Veximus, and ideally you want different people to split up the soaks. If an orb reaches Veximus, gains 20 energy, and it splashes damage out onto your group, and you get that Arcane Fissure explosion every 100 energy. Now, each orb that you soak puts a dispellable stacking magic debuff on you called Oversurge, and this makes you take 100% more arcane damage per orb soaked. Classes with immunities, though, can pop and just soak all of these. So Cloak of Shadows, AMS, things like that. You can run around and just get all the orbs, takes that problem out of it. Arcane Expulsion is a frontal cone. It's a magic newt. As always, with the tank, it tracks you, okay? So don't be a jackass and run around trying to get out of the way. I get trying to strafe it first to see, but it follows you, okay? So don't spray anyone with the face with it. Just stay there, set up for the fact that you're going to get reamed with a magic ability and have something ready for it. The boss will cast Arcane Fissure every 100 energy. It's a knockback. It deals huge damage and spawns multiple swirls underneath all players. And then a few seconds later, they explode. So you can see one coming up here. Arcane Fissure, he's reached 100 energy. Kaboom, knockback, swirlies coming out, moving. And there's that Arcane Expulsion, the frontal. Be really careful with swirls under your feet here as well. Lastly, Mana Bombs is a dot. This has to be healed through. It goes out onto 3 players. Then they'll explode and drop puddles after the debuff expires. So there is a little bit going on in this fight. Immunities can make a real nice treat though with the orbs and things like that. So just be aware of that. But the biggest thing to manage is really those Arcane Fissure explosions. They do quite a bit of damage, especially as you get sort of to the 3rd and 4th round of cast with them. You are taking quite a bit of nasty damage. So Veximus goes down and then we're heading off to Cross now. Now we're going to kill pretty much everything bar 2 mobs before the Wind Bridge to go over to the Guardian Sentry. So coming up to this pack here, we've got Battle Axe, Double Mana Fiend, and a Scepter, which we've covered. And then we've got, I think, 5 Foragers, a Battle Axe, a Scepter, and a Ravager over on the next platform that we have to pull. So I'm just going to fast forward through that. Okay, so we've killed everything on this platform except for the 2 Mana Fiends here and the Battle Axe, and we are going to run up and skip them. Now, you can Invispot, people can stealth, you can 2-seated mount if you're too scared you're going to stuff it up. You can't Void Racial up there because I tried to do the Void Elf Racial to get up there. Demon Hunters can double jump, all that kind of stuff. You can Wild Charge up there, but 2-seated mount works if you're worried you're going to stuff it up. We cross the Wind Bridge and then we're onto this Guardian Sentry here. This will cast Deadly Wind. It spawns a tornado on someone that moves around and will stun and damage anyone that gets hit. The big move of interest though is Expel Intruders. Large AoE knockback. As the tank, have it near one of these walls. Your group just uses line of sight to run around to avoid it, nice and easy. Now you've got Death's Advance as a blood DK, or as any DK, however, the damage by standing in it is quite substantial. There's just no need to take it when you can just run around in line of sight, so that's always going to be the number one option. Here as well, there's also a massive tank buster called Storm Slash. It's a huge nature damage hit, so just be aware of this, that you're going to be set up to take some form of large magic hit. It is nature damage, so just be aware of that. Dodge the tornadoes. Keep the sentry near a wall here. If you're saturated in tornadoes too, move over to the other side. You know, you can use both sides of these pillars. There's 4 of them around on this platform. Make solid use of them for these expel intruders. Just make sure that you can hide. You won't have too many problems. Once the sentry is dead, we are heading over this next wind bridge and we're going to fight the Gauntlet of Eagles. Now there's 3 Eagle Gauntlet packs, okay? And there's really nothing to say about these. I'm just going to skip past them. You'll fight Eagles. They do a peck debuff that stacks on your tank. They do a gust that can knock people off. And 2 of them will have a cast that's called Summoning the Flock, which summons extra birds. Have 2 kicks assigned. That's pretty much it. We're going to skip forward to Croth now. All right, so we've thrown our balls in. Croth has been summoned and he is down. Now for me, this is actually one of the most challenging fights I feel like in this dungeon. There's a lot to dodge. It hits incredibly hard. There's a few mechanics to monitor, and understanding how the balls can kind of make and break your encounter here as the key gets higher. Now, play ball is the main mechanic to understand. After scoring goals, you'll get one of the following effects. The fire goal, which is on my left here as the tank, or on your right as you were moving up to the platform. It's got a fireball in it. When you put 3 goals into that, you'll have to dodge red swirls for the rest of the fight. Croth will get stunned and will take 75% extra damage for 12 seconds. The wind goal, which you can see symbolized by the wind ball at the top of the screen to the right there, will activate tornadoes, winds that push you around. You can pick up a little gale force orb that gives you temporary immunity to the pushback and gives you a little haste buff. Play ball activates at 75% HP and 45% HP. You do want to try and save some offensive capability for the Firestorm, which is where Crawl gets stunned for that 75% bonus damage for the 12 seconds. I think a safe recommendation for your 3rd ball dunk on the fire side is after the 4th Deafening Screech. That's just my preference. Now, Deafening Screech is an interrupt and deals increasing damage every cast, so be aware of this, especially for you healers and other casters. You want to stop casting when Deafening Screech is going off, and each stack will apply a stack of Sonic Vulnerability to the group, which permanently increases its damage. The only way you can remove this is by scoring goals during play ball. Croth will also do an overpowering gust. It's a large frontal that gets aimed at a random player. Just watch where it's going and don't be standing in it. You can see it coming out here. The tank will be dealing with Savage Peck. It's a tank buster. It can be dodged. It can be parried. But be ready for this, as it really does hurt, and it leaves a 10-second dot on you as well that you'll be ticking for damage for, as well as the big hit. And you'll be copying one of these every 12 to 15 seconds roughly. So have a plan for how you are going to manage it, as it's pretty important. And you can see this phase gets pretty chaotic towards the end. You can see those little orbs, the Gale Force orbs that you can pick up around the platform. You get a haste buff by picking them up, and you get an immunity to the move. Don't forget, as a DK, that you've got Death's Advance, which is a really nice bonus, especially for this fight, and just being able to plant your feet and move, especially in hairy situations, not get blown around as much. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. Now, I'm just going to leave this run because it's pretty important to remember when you are running back following this route, that remember we left the padding 3 Skitterflies up in the tree room. Something else I want to mention, I've got the Savage Peck debuff on me, and you can see I ran away. Now, Rainbow actually managed to get a rejuve on me and a regrowth, so I didn't die, and I potted as well, but not smart. Don't run away from your healer when you've got a bleed on you. So jumping across here, watch where these 3 Skitterflies are. You can see they're in a safe position. Run through. Just be aware that you didn't pull them on this route, and you don't want to just barge straight into them and pull them. It's not the end of the world if you do, but you don't want to. Coming up these stairs, we're going to make a decent pull here. We're going to grab these 2 Echo Knights off to the left here. We're going to grab these 2 Echo Knights at the bottom. Then we're going to run up and we're going to grab the 2 Echo Knights and this Invoker in the middle. Now, the Algeth'ar Echo Knights, they do an Astral Whirlwind, which is a channeled AoE melee. If there's no stops, just move out so you're not getting hit. You can use stops for them, though. Stuns, CC, disruptions, whatever you've got, make sure you're doing that to stop the channel. Now, the Invoker in this pack as well will cast Astral Bomb, puts a circle AoE on a random player, and it causes them to explode after a few seconds. However, you can actually use that to damage these enemies, so make the most of that. They'll also do an Arcane Missiles. Make sure this is being kicked as it is pretty rampy damage. You can stun, displace them, just don't let them go through is the big thing. So we're going to get these down and then we're going to move up the stairs and we're going to dodge the pack, and then the only last mobs that we need are the ones at the door. Now we have a really good pad here, you can see. One thing we were just making sure of is that the Spitefuls weren't coming after us, because we'd done a key before this where we ran in and the Spitefuls actually chained into the wall and then they pulled the extra mobs, which we didn't want. So just be aware of that. Now, a new mob in this pool, along with the ones that we'd already covered, is the Ethereal Restorer. Now, these will cast a Celestial Shield. It is a shield and a haste buff. You can't interrupt it, but you can purge it. So shamans, priests, warlocks, demon hunters, mages, blood elves, whatever you've got to be able to remove it, make sure you purge that shield. Get this down ASAP. Still interrupting your arcane missiles, still watching out for the whirlwinds. You can see an in-cap roar went off there to interrupt that one. Arcane missiles going off at the moment, so that I could have kicked that. I had an interrupt free. It doesn't deal, super devastating damage at the moment, but in higher keys, that is probably something that you don't want to just let free cast through for a bunch of damage. So once this Echo Knight's down, we're on to the very last boss, the Echo of Doragosa. Now, if you've made it this far, I kind of want to say that you're home and hosed. This, compared to the other bosses you've dealt with, I think is pretty cruisy. Now, I've seen multiple different sort of ways talked about to tank this. You can bring it all the way to one end and then stack all your rifts up in one spot. I don't honestly think it really, really matters at the moment if your group is sort of competent and comfortable in dodging things. The biggest thing to know on this boss is that every single non-melee ability from the boss applies 1 stack of overwhelming power to you, which is a debuff. Now, each stack gives you a 5% damage buff, but when you reach 3 stacks of it, you'll spawn an arcane rift. If someone runs over that rift, it explodes for uncontrolled energy, and they'll last for 2 minutes. Now, getting hit by avoidable damage here means that you're taking more stacks and spawning more rifts. Now, you can't avoid taking stacks throughout this fight. You will get them and you will hit 3 and you will have to drop a rift, but you want to limit the amount that you are actually dropping. So you want to try and drop your rifts close together or in the same area, just for the reason that it'll make the uncontrolled energy orbs that fly out of them a little easier to dodge because they're all coming from one spot. However, it's not the end of the world. The boss will cast an Astral Breath. It's a giant frontal cone. Just make sure you move out of it. The boss will cast a Power Vacuum, which you just saw. You'll get all pulled into the boss, and then a massive AoE circle will go out that you just need to run away from. Be sure not to run through rifts as you're coming out or get gripped over rifts if you can help it, and you'll just have to be really aware of that as the tank if you need to move the boss. The boss has an Arcane Missiles cast as well that can go on anyway, and that gives stacks of overwhelming power. The random players will get targeted with energy bombs as well, so we can see a couple that have gone out. This is an AoE. You just need to move away from people if they have it, or if you've got it, make sure you move away. So Teague's just had it. Then you can see her up the back. She'll explode in a second, and then she'll move out of the way. Astral Breath coming out of here, the big frontal. Healers, last thing for you to be aware of with the energy bomb, when the target's safely away, you want to dispel it pretty quickly, as generally Power Vacuum will follow it up straight away as well. So just be aware of that. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. This really isn't too much of a real mental test here. The orbs move slow enough to make it easy to dodge. It's a fairly decent sized room. If you are having problems or there's too many rifts around you because too many people are taking unavoidable damage, absolutely feel free to just move out of the way. That is it anyway, guys. Thank you so much. If you've got any questions, hit me up in the comments. Hopefully this helps you out with Academy. Like, comment, subscribe, check out the other dungeon guides and the boss guides on the channel. I'll see you all next time.
Legends, if you really want to help me out and support the channel, please consider pledging to our Patreon. Tier 3 and above will see you getting your name at the end of every single video we create, as well as some hidden perks in the Discord. Thanks so much.